Hello again and Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Dr. George Simon with another edition of the new Character Matters. Welcome to the forum where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we've been in for some time now, and that has affected so many aspects of our lives. And I'm pleased to announce that this is the first broadcast in which the book that I've been talking about for several weeks now, actually for several months, is finally available from Amazon and from major booksellers. It's a Create Space publication. I do want to say, however, that some of the initial copies of Essentials for the Journey, some of the initial copies were released improperly formatted, not fully formatted. This was a printing error that I pray has been corrected, at least I believe it has been corrected. So there are only a few copies of the initial run of the books that were improperly formatted. And I apologize for that. But we had a rush to get this book out. I'd been promising it for a long time, and I really wanted to get it out there, and missed a final check or two, and I think we've got that corrected now. But suffice it to say that I'm pleased that it's finally done. I've really put an awful lot into this. And as we begin a new year, a tough new year, it seems like a redo in many respects, with the pandemic rearing its ugly head. Once again, many, many lessons, I think, to learn in the process. I am optimistic. One of the reasons why I have labored so hard on this book is not so much that I believe in my heart that character matters more than anything. Time and life and a lot of other circumstances, not the least of which has been my professional career working with so many folks in troubled relationships. So much has taught me about the importance of character and the disaster that befell us when we stopped paying attention to it, when we allowed too many other things to occupy a position of importance for us, and we forgot the importance of character. It wasn't even cool. I'm dating myself here to the 50s and 60s. It wasn't even cool to talk about matters of character. We concerned ourselves for a long time with a great many things, but we did not concern ourselves with the all-important value of character and how it permeates every aspect of our lives, and how it's critical to every aspect of our lives. So we not only forgot how important it was, we forgot to expect it, to insist upon it, and especially we forgot to devote the kind of time and energy that it takes to fashion it. We human beings are capable of so much, good and bad. And left to our own devices, without proper formative influences, we can engage in all manner of unhealthy conduct. And even with the best of formative influences, we can have trouble being decent human beings, primarily because of how we may be wired in a way. We can't help that. So developing proper character is a real challenge, always has been. There are many, many hurdles to overcome, but we must, if we're to survive and prosper, we must get our character act together again. We must make it cool to even talk about it, to even consider it. We must come to expect it. We must learn how to discern it, how to appropriately judge it. And in certain cases, we have every reason to want to demand it, especially in those who profess to want to serve us or to lead us. We must demand it. We've put too many things ahead of it, especially in the political arena. So long as people serve our interests, it hasn't mattered to us what kind of character they have. This has literally been killing us. So I've spent a long time trying to get a message out. And I've summarized it in this book, Essentials for the Journey. Embracing and living what I call the 10 Commandments of Character, time-tested, proven principles for not only developing good emotional and psychological health, but also for leading a spiritually rich life. All these aspects of our health go together. The emotional, the psychological, the personality, the spiritual aspects of ourselves, they all go together. You can't be healthy in one sphere without being healthy in the others. If you're unhealthy in one aspect of your personal development, you're going to be somewhat challenged in all the other areas too. So that's why I've labored so long and hard, but I am optimistic. I sincerely believe that we are on the cusp of a very different age. If anything, some circumstances are forcing us to realize our inherent interconnectedness, that we're all in this together, and that if we don't get our character act together, if we don't learn how to lovingly cooperate, interesting word, isn't it? Cooperate. We all operate in the world. And when we're cooperating in the proper spirit, incredible things can happen. And I believe that's where we have to go if we're not going to perish. So I labored over this book because I wanted it to be inspirational. As a matter of fact, everything I've done in my professional career, even the song that my wife and I wrote that I never thought that would happen, and the subsequent tunes that have come to me, just about everything I seem to be kind of hardwired to want to do has been in an inspirational vein. I know some of my writing pretty frankly addresses some of the flaws in us and in the culture, but I mean my work to be inspirational. We can and we must do better. And I sincerely believe that we will. Yes, we're going to face some pretty tough trials. We've dug some pretty deep holes for ourselves. And yes, we're going to do some suffering. That's necessary. For growth to occur, there has to be pain. And we do have to pay for our mistakes. That's how we learn. But I truly believe that we're on the cusp of something very big. We're going to make it. It isn't going to be easy. And one of the things that I believe will truly help is when we rediscover the magic and the power of character, what it really is, what it really means to have it, what it really means to display it, what it means to be the fullest, healthiest kind of human being that we all have it within us to be. Now, for some, the learning curve is inherently very steep and the challenge very great. But we're in this together, and we owe it to one another to do our best to encourage each other. It has to start with ourselves. We need to be sure that we're all that we can be. I think it's the best insurance. When we are solid in our sense of self, it's our biggest insurance that we won't fall prey to a relationship where we can be abused and exploited and taken advantage of. When we know what it means to be of good character ourselves, we're a lot better able to discern the character of others. One of the things that's really disheartened me more than anything else in my work is hearing from people the stories about what drew them to a relationship. Because inevitably, in looking back, inevitably, folks will say, you know, with 2020 hindsight, I can see that going into this relationship, based on what I thought was important, was a recipe for pure disaster. Didn't take the time to either adequately vet my partner's character, and I didn't have enough solidity of character and awareness myself to adequately discern just what it takes to be of solid character. So it's no wonder I'm in the situation that I'm in now. It's no wonder the relationship failed. You and me, and all the rest of us, I sincerely believe that we're going to rediscover both the magic and the power of character. And we're going to spend the time and the energy it takes to instill it once again. How we're going to do this is one individual heart at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, when I wrote my first book, In Sheep's Clothing, Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People, I was in New York talking to various publishers, and frankly, the book developers that I was working with were expecting fantastic preemptive offers from the major publishing houses. Most especially because the book was addressing a phenomenon that was not even widely known at the time and didn't even have a name at the time. A phenomenon that we presently call the gaslighting effect. That feeling of being crazy or feeling crazy because you knew intuitively that someone was not the person that they professed to be, that there was something really not quite right with them in character, but somehow through the clever tactics that they used, somehow they made you feel like you were nuts for thinking so. You were wrong for thinking so. And so you had this war going on between what your gut was telling you and how you were made to feel. So I described that phenomenon in Sheep's Clothing. And the folks in New York who were considering publishing the book wanted to change it dramatically, according to them, to give it more mass appeal. But they wanted to dilute its substance, and I couldn't allow that. So we published the very first edition of it in 1996 independently. And what happened was, just as I suspect will happen now, what happened was that one person at a time who had the aha experience started talking to their friends and neighbors and saying, oh my goodness, this has been my experience. Is it yours too? And not overnight, but relatively quickly, the word spread. So that when it was time to negotiate a new edition of the book, I didn't have to kowtow to the demands of publishers who just wanted to sell copies and didn't want there to be substance. Character matters. It matters more than anything, and you have to stay true. It's one of the things I've learned. You have to stay true to yourself. And it's my fondest hope that with this book that I've labored on so long, Essentials for the Journey, I titled it Essentials for the Journey because even though it's about the 10 Commandments of character largely, the material in it, I believe, provides the very sustenance that we need to grow on this path to personal integrity. So I really wanted to provide essentials, provisions, spiritual provisions, emotional and psychological provisions for this daunting journey toward personal integrity, a purpose-filled life. And what I suspect will happen is exactly what happened with In Sheep's Clothing, which is now in over 30 languages. I was Googling just the other day one of the editions in Portuguese, the Brazilian edition, and I was just shocked to see the pages and pages on Google of blogs, video seminars, et cetera, people talking about the book and the material in the book. I was edified too, I have to admit. I do take a little bit of pride in that. But what I suspect will happen with this book is that one person at a time, one heart at a time, will feel the urge to share, will spread the word. We are going to succeed in making character cool again. We're going to make it cool to talk about it. We're going to make it cool to care about it. We're going to have a discussion about how to instill it, why we need to expect and demand it sometimes, and what we can all do to foster its development in ourselves and in each other. We can be inspired, purpose-driven people of integrity. We have that capacity. But that process is a delicate one, especially in a culture steeped in hedonism and entitlement, permissiveness, relativism. It's tougher than ever, but we're going to do it. And we're going to do it one heart at a time, one converted heart at a time, one person telling another, one person engaging with another. The word will spread. It will spread just how it's supposed to. I'm resigned to that. My commitment was to do my part, to finally put something out there. That's the nature of any creative enterprise. You just do it. Where I had my very first experience with that was with the song that I mentioned just a bit ago. I am not really a musician by trade, but, and I don't have the talent for playing any instruments well. But I've always had music in my head, and I've always been inspired by music. And when I was working on a book that I decided not to publish, a book that another author took the title for, a book titled The Late Great United States. When I was working on that, and when I was musing about the interrelationship between character and freedom, the interdependence of those two things that the founders knew, that if you leave decent people, people who already get it, who are already sound in their character, who are principled, and who act with integrity, if you leave such people alone, don't interfere with their lives, give them maximum freedom, maximum opportunity, don't try to micromanage them, not only will they prosper, but they will work with one another for the greater prosperity of all. But when too many people of poor character populate a society, then it's natural for regulatory agencies and for governments of all types to want to become more repressive, to try to micromanage things with rules and structures and consequences, because otherwise unprincipled people are running amok. Character dysfunction is the enemy of freedom. Freedom and character are completely interdependent. And so I was realizing this. And as I was realizing this song that has come to be known as America, My Home, it was written as a piece for the turn of the new millennium. Its formal title is Anthem for the Millennium. It started to haunt me day and night. And so even lacking the technical skills to do so, I put the melody and the arrangement to paper, hired some people to help me with it. My wife and even my brother helped me with the fashion just the right words. And we created this song that we had absolutely no idea what would happen with or what purpose it would serve until 9/11 happened. And a regional ABC television affiliate paired it with a video montage of the events that were occurring. And then all kinds of things broke loose. And some people still tell me that it's an inspirational piece. And that's wonderful. But once again, it was all about character. even that peace is an appeal to the heart for folks living in this country, the United States of America. It's not about our military might or our economic power, both of which are second to none. What can and has distinguished us in the past and can distinguish us again in the future is the integrity of our people, because countries are great when they are comprised of great, decent people. And we have lost our way over the years, but we're going to get it back. So as I wish you once again a wonderful, joy-filled, hopefully, year, a prosperous year, I would ask you to participate with me in sharing this all-important message. You find something of value in the essentials for the journey, I pray that you will share it with others, that you'll help spread the word. Would be very nice if what happened the first time I ventured out with something I thought was necessary to put out there would happen again. I need your help in helping to make character matter again. I just pray that I've helped create something that will help accomplish the task. We'll find out. I could be vain. I could be misguided. We'll find out. In any case, we're in this together. And something just tells me that we're going to pull it off. Because I think our survival and our true prosperity, not just our material prosperity, but our overall prosperity hangs in the balance. It's all at stake. And in that vein, I'll be back again next week with another edition of the New Character Matters. So until then, I'm Dr. George Simon. I'm thanking you once again for tuning in. And I hope once again that you have a great and prosperous and joy-filled new year. Take care.